Good day to everyone. Please just call me Ken. I'm a freshman from the province, and I just want to share my story. It's nothing too special, but maybe someone out there can relate. It's about a room, a person, and the things you never expect, but slowly start to change you. When I found out I got accepted to a university in Manila, I was happy. But when I learned I got a dorm slot in room 143, my mom practically screamed with joy. She said, "Wow, you're lucky, son. You already have a place to stay." But was I really lucky? The moment I opened the door to room 143, the first thing I saw was a mess. Then a guy in boxers sitting on the bed holding a sketch pad and a half-empty cup of coffee. He smiled at me like he already knew me. "Hey, you're Ken, right?" I just nodded. Yeah. I'm Geo. Architecture. 3rd year. Quiet people aren't allowed here, okay?" Then he even winked. I didn't know if I should laugh or just repack my things and leave. See, I'm the quiet type. Neat. Used to the calm of the mountains, where the only noise is the sound of crickets. Geo. He's the opposite. Loud, chaotic, like he never gets tired. But there's something about his smile that lightens the mood, even when you don't want to admit it. At first, we barely talked. We were from different worlds. I studied at night. He worked on plates and sketches I couldn't understand, but looked important. His friends would be laughing outside while I'd be lying there, praying they'd quiet down, even just for a bit. But still, I started to notice little things. He always woke up at 6, even when he stayed up late. Me? I could barely get up. But when I heard his speaker playing OPM songs, I'd somehow find the energy to move too. "Bro, I'm gonna use your charger, okay?" he said with a grin. Sure." Even though I didn't really know him yet, I couldn't say no. I don't know when I started getting used to his presence, his noise, his chaos. Even when the room was a mess, the days somehow felt easier. We weren't friends yet, but it felt like something was beginning. Nothing big, but enough to make me feel like I wasn't alone. I don't really know why Gio was like that. It was like no one ever taught him how to clean up. One day, he left his wet towel on my bed. One night, I smelled sautéed sardines in a room that already reeked of study tables and sweat. Turns out, he ate dinner on his bed while working on a plate. I left a sticky note. "Please wash the dishes. Thanks." The next day, he just laughed. "Oops, sorry bro. I got it. Peace, okay?" He even gave me a thumbs up. Honestly, I wanted to scold him, but I couldn't. There's something about him. No matter how annoying he was, you just couldn't stay mad. And to be fair, he knew how to help too. One night, it rained while I was working on a paper for GE. I forgot to close the window, and some of my notes got soaked. I just sat on the floor. I couldn't take it anymore. I cried silently. I thought he was asleep, but he came over. No questions, no lectures. He quietly moved my laptop, picked up the wet papers, dried them, then sat beside me. "I'll do the layout. You just write the intro. Your fingers type fast anyway." There were no labels, no deep conversations. But after that, it felt like we were slowly becoming friends. Not because of big gestures, but because of those small, unexpected acts of kindness. Some nights, the dorm hallway was dead silent. No noise, no people. But inside room 143, there was life. One time, while I was boiling noodles, he suddenly said, "You know, Ken, I try not to expect too much. Because when you fall, it hurts. So sometimes, I just chill." That was the first time I saw him as a real person. Not just my loud roommate, A person with fears, pressure, dreams he sometimes let go of just to protect himself. I didn't answer right away, but after a few minutes, I opened up too. I'm scared. Honestly, I don't want my family to know who I really am yet. I'm not doing anything wrong, but it still feels wrong in their eyes. He didn't laugh. He didn't react deeply either. He just nodded and handed me a hot dog for my noodles. There were no promises, no kisses. But that night, room 143 felt like the quietest and most comforting place in the entire city. At first, it was normal. But then you start to notice, why do I know the exact way he smiles when it's genuine? Why do I recognize the sound of his real laughter? I noticed Gio always said, "Ken, Ken," with a soft tone. I'd be surprised when he'd suddenly lean on my shoulder while we watched vlogs. Sometimes he'd buy coffee and say, "It's sweet," to wake you up. You can't handle the bitter stuff. I wondered, then fell silent. I didn't know if I should be scared or happy, but I knew something was changing, not just in him, but in me. Lately, he'd go out a lot. He was with a girl, pretty, fair-skinned, always smiling. I had no right. There was no us. But when he forgot our weekly breakfast date, our usual meal of dried fish and garlic rice, I couldn't help but feel hurt. The next day, I ignored him. He noticed. "What's your problem?" I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Am I just a friend to you, Gio?" He went silent. It felt like time stopped in room 143. He didn't answer me, but it felt like a door that had long been closed had finally been opened. One night, I couldn't sleep. We were both lying on our backs, not saying a word. Then I heard his voice. "I don't know what this is either. I didn't plan to like you, Ken. But it's you. You're not forced. And you're always there." Something melted in my chest. I didn't answer right away. But after a few minutes, I said, "That's okay. I don't know what to call this either. But I like you too." No hugs, no kisses. But it felt like a quiet warmth slowly spread through that room. And that's when I realized, you don't always need loud words to hear the beating of a heart. Months passed. We're still roommates. Gio's still messy. I still get annoyed at his wet towels. But now, there's fondness in the frustration. There's "let's cook later" every night. There's brushing our teeth together at 11. We don't post. We don't label. But for me, since the beginning, this is the first time I've ever felt at home. Room 143. It's not just a room. It's a space of chaos, a story of love, and a home I found in the quiet presence of someone I didn't understand at first. Now, I understand him, and I understand myself even more. And in the end, not all love has to be shouted to the world. Sometimes, eyes that understand each other are enough. Routines that you never talked about, but both of you already do. I don't know how long Gio and I will last, but for now, it's enough that he's messy, I'm quiet, and we both keep choosing room 143, night after night. Because sometimes, love doesn't arrive with fireworks. It comes while you're doing laundry together, while wiping down a wet table, or while breathing side by side in silence. I'm Ken, and this is my story from room 143. Thank you to Ken for sharing his story. It's not easy to talk about the things we quietly feel, especially when it comes to love that's not always clear and sometimes hard to name. But through your simple story, Ken, you reminded us that real connection is built in the small everyday things, in the mess, in the conversations, in the shared silences, Room 143. A room full of chaos, but even more full of real, slow, and patient love. To those listening or watching right now, if you have your own story of love, friendship, or quiet courage, send it in. Because maybe like Ken, someone out there will relate. And maybe like Gio, someone will learn to love in the silence. Until the next story.